This video is brought to you by Power Performance Products, where you can get $10 off your purchase of Body Storm and Body Effects.
We're back here for part 2 of MMA Today. I'm Spencer Lazara, joined by Jake Ellenberger, of course, here at King's MMA Huntington Beach. Great practice today, man. That's fun to watch out here at King's.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, the energy is like nothing else, man. You can just feel it when you come in here.
Especially you and Dos Anjos. Those are some good rounds right now.
I know. He's a fun guy to go with. He always goes hard, so I love training with him.
He's got a fight, Mark Bocek, coming up.
That's what I heard.
November. That's going to be a good one.
That's a great fight. That's a great fight. Both guys are solid. He's been training so much on his wrestling and just timing and stuff. So he's getting better every time I see him. Definitely.
They say that your next fight is always the biggest. Is that a true statement?
I would agree. You know, every fight means something. And when you start looking past your next fight, that's when you get humbled real quickly.
Yeah. Jay's a lot like Barton in a lot of ways, it seems like. You know, they train together, of course, and main training partners. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I could see that. You know, they're similar games, I guess.
Does that give you confidence?
Yeah.
You know, knowing that you did really well against Martin, of course, for the first round and a half.
Yeah, for me, you know, I mean, obviously that was a disappointing fight against Kampmann, but you know, like I said, for me, there's a lot of things I learned. I gotta be more patient. There's things that I've been putting in here, working on, and it's unsettling. You know what I mean? Like I wake up and I want to get that back. You know what I mean? Like this is like I'm fighting Kampmann again, but it's Jay. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? He might be a little bit better wrestler, but you know, I know what I can do, and in 15 minutes I can win this fight anywhere the fight goes.
Yeah. There was a time when the welterweight division seemed really depleted. There wasn't a lot of guys to challenge Georges St-Pierre. Now there's guys are just, you know, scratching tooth and nail to get to that spot. There's a bunch of you guys.
Yeah.
Where do you feel like, you know, you fit in, and talk about that?
Yeah, you know, the division it's interesting. It keeps getting better. I mean, it's hard to put a win streak together in any division, I should say. Especially in the welterweight division. There's so many guys that are underrated. There's so many guys that are credible and aren't really recognized, you know. So I think in this division, I mean, like any division, but more so I should say in the lightweight and the welterweight division, it's so hard to put 3, 4, 5, 6 wins together, you know what I mean, to get that title shot. But consistency is the biggest thing, you know, for me. And I put 6 wins together, you know, then I hit a bump in the road with Kampmann, but you know, for me, it really shows how bad you really want something, you know what I mean? Like adversity, you know, going through that adversity, and you know, I'm back here working harder than ever, hungrier than ever, and really just want to prove that I can get there. And you know, there's people coming up all over. I mean, like I said, there's no easy fight, you know what I mean? There's guys that it could be their first fight in the UFC, and they could be great. You know, you don't really know. So, like I said, there's no easy fight in the UFC, and I mean, you just got to prepare yourself and you know, prepare yourself as much as you can and go hard, you know.
Yeah. You're 27-6, obviously a great record. Is there any loss specifically that you would want to avenge more than another?
Martin Kampmann, for sure.
Because I know before it was Carlos.
Yeah, I mean, it is. Like, granted, no, there's no loss. No loss is easy. It doesn't settle well. You know what I mean? For me, like with Carlos Condit, to see where he's at, it's motivating to me. You know what I mean? He's the interim champ, and he's a great fighter. You know what I mean? He's in the position he's in for a reason. So, you know, you've seen how our fight went. Makes me want to work harder and get that, you know, get a rematch with him. But I think there's so many things to my last fight against Kampmann that went wrong personally on my side that I could do better. So I feel like that's why it bothers me a lot more. I mean, not taking anything away from Martin, he's a great fighter. You know what I mean? And he beat me. I'm not gonna say he didn't, but I think it's just I know my potential, and that wasn't me. You know what I mean? It wasn't me in that fight. So yeah, that's the one that I really want back.
Yeah. Who do you think will win? Last time I asked you, you know, you said who cares? But who do you think will win those 2 fights in Montreal, the 2 welterweight fights?
I see George winning against Carlos, and the other one I don't care. No, still don't care.
You wouldn't rather see Martin win or lose to potentially make it better for you to get that rematch?
I could see Martin winning that fight, definitely. But again, you know, Johnny surprised a lot of people too. So yeah, I would love that rematch. You know, whatever I got to do to get there.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're the worst matchup kind of for GSP on paper?
I don't know. You know, I've heard that before, but it's I guess it's hard. It's all relative. You know, it's hard to say, but.
That's something I personally thought that you are a tough matchup because you have a real good base, good wrestling to go with great striking and power, and he hasn't faced someone quite with the power.
Yeah, you know, I've been working with a new boxing coach 3 days a week, and really been focused on my footwork and speed. So it's really humbling when I go up to like boxing gyms and I spar with like professional boxers. You know what I mean? And it could be like they're low level guys and how fast and how good they are. So it's a good experience for me. It's humbling, but you know, just to be able to train with that kind of mentality, you know, the boxers, it's great. It's gonna make me better, and you know, I'm just focusing on me one fight at a time. You know.
Do you feel like you hit the hardest in the welterweight division? If we were to measure that.
Oh yeah.
Who else is up there? Who do you think is up there in power?
I don't know. There's probably a handful of guys you could say that hit hard, but really, I really haven't put much thought into that, to be honest.
Now I want to go back in time, kind of get a timeline of your athletic career and when it started and kind of getting to this point.
My athletic career. Let's see. Growing up, I was always involved in sports, and I have two brothers, Joe and Adam. I have twin brother Joe, obviously, and we played sports growing up, baseball, football. You know, I loved sports. I loved competition. Let's see, but when I got to high school, I was big into baseball. I played baseball for a while. I was a catcher. You know, I was kind of small. You know, I mean, I liked to play baseball though for a while. And same thing with football. Football was always fun. I was not very big. I was kind of this smaller guy, so it was hard to pursue a career in football. You know,
yeah.
But
when did you start wrestling?
I started wrestling when I was in college. Actually, after I was already fighting in MMA when I started wrestling.
Wow.
I was 20.
So how did you get into fighting? Sort of. How did that sort of fall into place?
You know, I started training as a hobby. I went and watched a buddy of mine. I worked at 24-hour fitness at a fitness gym back in Omaha, and a buddy of mine that I worked with was a boxer, and he started fighting MMA, and I had no idea what it was. You know, I went and watched him fight at a casino, and it was kind of like, yeah, I was kind of hooked. I thought it was cool, and I started training just for fun. You know, as a hobby, I started doing kickboxing and jiu-jitsu, and really, yeah, it was still a hobby for a while. And like most guys, I was just a fan of the sport. And you know, I fought a few times and was doing well. So I just kept, you know, I kept progressing, kept doing more and more. But yeah, I started in high school. I was actually in swimming and diving, and it was fun. You know, I love the water, so that was always fun in high school. I was an All-American in springboard diving too, which a lot of people don't know about that. And you know, I got a couple offers to dive in college too, but you know, I didn't really have any desire to continue that. My twin brother Joe, who started wrestling when he was about 13, he kind of got me into it. He got me into, you know, he was a fan of Tito Ortiz and a lot of the MMA, and I kind of had no idea what it was. And he wrestled through high school, and then when I started getting to MMA, you know, we started wrestling together just for fun. I mean, he put me in chokes, and then we'd be fighting, and the next thing you know, our parents are losing their mind. But, yeah, I started going to college after I started fighting, but again, fighting was still MMA to me.
So how old were you when you had your first fight? 18?
20.
20?
Yeah, I was 20 actually.
Okay. And you had your first fight before Joe had any?
Actually, we fought the first time the same night. Funny story though. I took a fight just for fun. Actually, it's before I even really started training, to be honest. It was not very smart, but I was just kind of like yeah, you know, we'll fight, whatever.
At least the sport was young then.
Yeah, and my brother
wrestlers around there.
My brother was wrestling in college, and actually, I got him a fight too the same night, but he didn't know that until he got there. And he was kind of surprised, but it was a good surprise. Like, hey, you know, you want to fight? And you know, he ended up fighting, but we both fought the same night and won. And it was kind of like, you know, it was kind of hooked. Kind of, you know, I liked it a lot. And my brother, he was in shape. You know, he was in the middle of the season for for wrestling, so he was in shape and kind of did it for fun, and just kind of kept going from there. You know, I went to college at the University of Nebraska Omaha, and after I had a good handful of fights, it was like, man, I really need to learn how to wrestle. For example, Jay Huron, when I lost to him, because he took me down and basically laid on me and wanted a decision, and I realized, in order to compete at a high level in MMA, I'm going to need to learn how to wrestle. So, at the time I walked on to Nebraska Omaha, they were 3-time Division II national champs. And one of the best rooms in the country, really. And I mean, it was hard every day. It was ridiculous. Like, I was trying to learn a sport that is one of the most least rewarding and the hardest working sports there are, in my opinion. And to go into a room like that, I don't think I got a takedown for 2 years. It was like every day I'd be going to the locker room, why am I doing this? What am I doing this for? This sucks. And they're just like, keep going. And eventually it pays off. So I ended up, I was there for 4 seasons. I got to wrestle with some of the best guys in the country, and I learned a lot. So it's helped me out. It's helped me. It's a big reason why I'm here where I am today.
That's pretty crazy that you were even able to make a team with not having much background in it at all, even at a college level.
Yeah. The coach, Mike Denny, is a good friend of mine. We did a lot of judo together. He was a black belt in judo, and really, really good. So we kind of played around in the gi a lot, and and he let me walk on and train with the team, work out with them, and I wrestled in a lot of the opens for fun. And why you would do that is it's not fun, but it's helped me where I am today, though, so I don't regret it.
But yeah, I wanted to talk about your brother Joe and his diagnosis. When you heard about his diagnosis with his condition?
Yeah, he was actually training for a fight back. Let's see, I think it was 2008, and it was a title fight in a local promotion back in the Midwest. And he was dealing with some issues, getting tired. And my brother's one of those guys who he's kind of have that old school wrestling mentality. He's used to overtraining. Yeah, that's just how they work, you know what I mean? Like the wrestling, the mentality. So there were some things kind of going on with him. We weren't sure. He was getting tired. He was sleeping more. Some small things that were bothering him. Couldn't really figure out why. But he got some blood tests done, and they diagnosed him the Mayo Clinic diagnosed him about 6 months later with PNH, with his bone marrow disorder. And so there's been a lot of ups and downs, with dealing with this, you know what I mean. But for me, it's just to see what he's been through and really overcome. It's been inspiring to me. It keeps pushing me, and I mean, he's always in my corner. He's always been a coach of mine and somebody just to lean on. So it's been a big help for me, and especially. When you get to those really grinding days, you don't want to train, you don't want to do anything, and it's like, you got to look yourself in the mirror and say, why are you doing this, and really kind of fall back on your goals and exactly why you're doing this. So, for me, I want to be a world champ, and you got to do a lot of things you don't want to do to get there. So, he's been a big inspiration to me, my family especially. He actually just had a baby a couple weeks ago, so. That's been a huge blessing to our family. I actually haven't met her yet. I haven't been back yet. So right after my fight, I'm going back to spend a few weeks with them and stuff. But yeah, he's got a great story, man. He's been through so much. There's just nobody like him, Nobody, I guess, who's chewed the same dirt and been through what he's been through, and to keep training and. Just the way he looks at life, it's been amazing.
Yeah, it's definitely a visible part of your drive, it seems like.
Definitely.
He's obviously doing very well now in MMA and in his career. So talk about that and where he's going.
Yeah, he's 13-1 right now in MMA. He loves to train. He loves to compete. He's got such a passion for competing. He's a big reason why I'm even in this sport to begin with. He's brought that competition out in me, I guess. But yeah, he's doing well. He's looking to fight probably at the end of the year, maybe. So with the new family, he's been really busy.
Sure.
But he started training again, and he's looking forward to getting back in there.
It must be a little bit tough not having him out. You're used to having him out for all your camps.
Yeah. He was out here for a few weeks, before the fight got canceled, obviously. But you know, I Skyped him quite a bit, talked to him a lot, and McKinley, his new daughter. So it's been nice.
It's awesome, man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's rare to see someone with that competitive drive that I was talking about on your level. I mean, I film with a lot of guys here. Ronda Rousey's one that comes to mind. I mean, she won't want to lose at checkers. You know, you seem like you're the same way. We just saw a Rochambeau contest, you know, and
Yeah.
you took out Jessica Penn in that one. So, you know, where does that come from?
Oh, you know, I don't know, something that I guess I've always had. I guess it came out a little bit later in life. You know, my brother, who was wrestling when he was younger, and he was so competitive, and just kind of watching him compete in wrestling, just that drive and that competitiveness is, you know, because I always didn't, I guess I didn't show that a lot when I was younger. You know, it kind of came out later in life. You know, I'd say 20, 21, and it keeps building and stuff, but you have to have it. I think you do. You really have to have that competitiveness, because, you know, when things go wrong, especially in a fight, you know, when things go wrong, things don't go your way, you start facing that adversity, you know, you got to make a choice. And if you don't have that no quit attitude, you know, that drive, then it's, you know, it's fight or flight. So I mean, it came out a little bit later in my life, but, you know, I love it. It's you know, sometimes that stubbornness can work against you, but you know, for me, it's been a big help.
Talk about the move to California. Obviously, something that fueled your career. You know, getting to the next level, coming out here with Rafael and Mark.
Yeah, you know, coming to California was huge. It was monumental for me. I met Mark Munoz, probably 4 or 5 years ago now, and I came out when he after he opened Reign, and trained for a few weeks, you know, and really clicked. You know, we really connected, and just loved his attitude and his work ethic. I mean, you know, if you know Mark Munoz, no one has got a work ethic like that guy. I mean, I really, it was somebody I kind of like wanted to mimic my training after. Like this guy leads by example, you know what I mean? And he introduced me to Rafael Cordero here, who's my trainer now, and, you know, I've been with for a little over 2 years, and 2.5 years now, and it's been huge, you know. Just I guess a lot of these doors have opened for me as far as training and career goes, and I think Southern California has some of the best fighters in the world. I mean, you know, look at Black House in LA, and Kings here, and MMA in Reign Training Center, and there's just so many high-level coaches and athletes out here, and I really feel comfortable out here, especially here at Kings with Rafael. And, you know, with some guys you just click with, you know what I mean, and I really clicked here, and it's been you know, it's kind of made my career, I think. Come
to the point where you've learned a new language. I can only imagine how many other things you've learned training here.
Yeah. You know, I'd like to study Portuguese, and it's been a fun language to learn, for sure.
Difficult?
Yes. Yeah, there's so much slang, you know, and it doesn't directly translate. Like, you know, it'd be easy if you could just translate it word for word, but it's like you got these expressions and all this slang.
Sure.
So it's fun though.
Do you ever go any cross training next door? I noticed there's a cool little pole dancing place next door, man.
Really?
Getting some core stuff done over there?
That surprises me that you know that. No, I've never been there, actually.
I think I should have gone filming in there maybe or something.
Yeah, why not? We should have set up one. Stop real quick, we're going to go over there.
Well, that's awesome, man. I really appreciate you taking the time. October 5th, of course, UFC on FX5, co-main event. Jake Ellenberger will be taking on Jay Huron, looking to get back in the win column. Thanks for watching MMA Today. Look for our next episodes, and be sure to follow us on Twitter. I'm at Spencer Lazara, at Ellenberger MMA, and of course at MMA Interviews. Thank you to the fans. Anything else you want to say, Jake?
No, thank you, Spencer, for having me.
All right, appreciate it. See you next time.
Please subscribe to our channel and follow us on Twitter at MMA Interviews and at Spencer Lazara. Look for more pieces of the MMA Today show with Jake Ellenberger coming out soon.